Hey, it's me, Tiffany. Welcome to my channel where I share all things pregnancy, postpartum, and motherhood related. I am a certified birth and postpartum doula as well as childbirth educator. So that means I support women and their families on their journey from conception to postpartum. If you have not had a chance yet, please check out my website at www.nurturebytiff.com where you can check out my doula services, my childbirth education courses, as well as my merch. I've been on a hiatus lately, but I'm back. I needed a mental health break. I think we all, understand that whole thing. But so I'm here today to share a story with you out of Gwinnett County in Georgia. Very, very devastating story. I am going to share the clip with you and come back and we'll talk about it.
The death of an 8-year-old Gwinnett County girl allegedly beaten to death with a wooden rolling pin. Police have charged the girl's father and stepmother with murder.
But the Fox 5 I-Team has learned the state's Child Protection Agency found some of the blame lies within its own ranks. I-Team reporter Johnny Edwards obtained the case file and discovered the agency received a complaint about this family months before the killing. Johnny?
That's right, and the case files show apparently not enough was done. The records we received from the Division of Family and Children's Services have been heavily redacted, with dozens of pages entirely blacked out. But what we did learn, DFACS fired 2 of its workers, a case manager and her supervisor, as a result of Shyra Barros' death.
You have 4 felony charges.
A Gwinnett County couple charged with killing their own child. Arrest warrants accuse 34-year-old Shyra Barros of beating her stepdaughter to death with a wooden rolling pin, striking her 10 to 20 times. The girl's father, 37-year-old Claudia Barros, accused of knowing his daughter was being abused, but leaving her alone with his wife anyway. Then, failing to get the girl medical help before she died January 30th. But the Fox 5 I-Team has learned State Child Protection Services had also been told of something terrible happening to 8-year-old Shyra Barros, pictured here with her funeral announcement. And that complaint, handled so poorly, 2 state social workers have been shown the door.
The real question is, was this child's death preventable? And of course, in hindsight, it looks like this death was preventable.
The I-Team obtained the case records from the State Division of Family and Children's Services. It turns out the agency had been warned 2.5 months before the killing of Shyra's stepmother allegedly harming her, saying she, quote, loses her cool and disciplines the child inappropriately, causing bruising. The heavily redacted documents don't say who made the allegation, but the tipster apparently troubled after hearing the father say that Shyra, quote, had 2 personalities and was causing a problem within his marriage due to the child being born out of wedlock. Adding, quote, he referred to Shyra as a demon. Former DFACS director Tom Rawlings says that should have triggered major scrutiny.
There have been children who have been beaten to death both in the United States and the UK and certainly in Africa because the family thought they were possessed. I think it's the kind of thing where we have to ask, do our case managers really understand the significant import, the significant danger when a parent or a step-parent says that child is a demon?
What's clear from the records, DFACS found major fault with how that earlier report on the family was handled. That prompted an internal review, which found a pattern of sloppy work by a case manager and her supervisor, ending with both of them fired. State Representative Mary Margaret Oliver, a longtime child protection advocate, reviewed the DFACS records.
I think the investigation and the review seems to be leading towards a conclusion that the case should not have been closed that soon.
Closed after 38 days. The DFACS records also revealing, after that fatal beating, the stepmother called her husband when the girl started to turn white. The father, quote, instructed her to pray, and everything would be okay. Adding, Shyra then called 2 priests from Nigeria before calling for emergency help.
I am glad to see that in this situation, after this child died, they went back and did a more thorough review of what was apparently a fairly new case manager's work.
An internal review looked for other cases closed prematurely, finding 3 that needed reopening, and, quote, safety concerns surrounding not speaking to parents to assess them, copying and pasting in the investigation summaries, and not fully assessing the caregivers. Caseworker Shatil Wingard and her supervisor, Alexandria Armand, fired on February 15th. Wingard had been on the job just 6 months.
I think that turnover rate and vacancy rates are very, very problematical. We need consistent caseworkers who are well trained, who stay with a child.
We reached out to the fired employees as well as attorneys for the defendants, but found no one willing to speak about the case. DFACS would only answer questions in writing, saying after that November complaint, the case manager interviewed family members and spoke to a family reference before deciding there was no evidence of abuse or neglect. And her supervisor signed off on closing the case. Both parents remain in the Gwinnett County Jail without bond. The father has a bond hearing scheduled next week.
Yeah.
Russ, Courtney?
Well, I don't know whether there was a demon involved in this, but it certainly was not Shyra. Now, when it comes to that earlier complaint, was there anything in police records or school records that showed who was concerned about this family?
Unfortunately, no. Gwinnett County would not provide any police records or 911 records. They said they don't have to because of the pending prosecutions. Gwinnett County schools also would not provide any information, citing student privacy.
Well, at any rate, that little girl should still be here today. It's just tragic.
It absolutely is. We'll stay on this case and we'll be at the bond hearing next week.
So that was a story, and y'all know what I always say. I have so many questions. Like, I'm just not understanding. Number one, this baby was failed by so many different people. The first person she was failed by was her father. So it appears that he stepped outside of the marriage and this baby was born out of wedlock. And for whatever reason, I'm not sure if her biological mother is in the picture or not, but she was under the care of her father and her stepmother. And the father made mention of how this baby was a problem for his marriage. No, sir, you're a problem for your marriage, not your baby. You're the one who decided to step out and have a baby with somebody else, okay? Now, this stepmom, y'all, honey, listen. If you couldn't accept the fact that he had a child with somebody else, you should have left him. I'm sorry, period. Don't sit there and act like it's all cool and you're going to accept it, but then you're going to turn around and abuse this child. That is wrong on so many levels, and that is just pure evil. And I know that was probably coming from a place of jealousy, of hate, of anger, of all kind of stuff. But like I said, I feel like that was coming from a place of anger, of hurt, of jealousy, and this baby should not have been in their care. The father was talking about the baby was demon possessed. Like, how do you figure? Where does it even come from? I know they say overseas in Africa that's a big thing, and they feel like they can beat the demon out of the child. But no, the only demon in that house was that stepmama and that father. And these social workers, I don't understand how people can go and complain or let people know that there is suspected abuse in a home and people do nothing about it. And these children slip through the cracks, and this is what ends up happening. You know, the lady in the interview made mention about the turnover rate. These people do not care about these babies. They in it just to get a check, okay? They don't care. They don't care about these kids' well-being. They come fresh out of school. They're thinking about how much money that they can get. They're not thinking about making a difference in these children's lives, and that's really sad. It's a good thing that they are no longer, you know, employed. That's a plus. However, you know, just like this lady said, her death was 100% preventable. It could have been prevented. Just sad. Really sad. I'm curious to know what the outcome is going to be in regards to, you know, what their sentencing is and all that. But this baby was failed by everyone around her. And, you know, she didn't even have a chance from the beginning. You know, she had a trifling daddy who went out and got somebody pregnant, didn't really want to deal with the responsibility. You know, had a trifling female that, you know, back in the day when daddy stepped out and brought the baby back home, I'm not saying it's what you should do, but what I'm saying is you have an option, okay? Your husband, boyfriend, whoever, whatever, go out and step out on you, and they let you know, hey, I done messed up. I had a baby with somebody else. You have the option to stay because, number one, it's not the child's fault. The child is 100% innocent in this. So you can stay and you can be a positive role model and, you know, person in that child's life, or you can leave. It's that simple. If you know your heart can't take it, if you just can't get over it and it's gonna hurt you too bad to stay and deal with it, leave. Don't get angry, and every time you get angry, you look at this child, you want to beat and kill and hurt the child. That's not appropriate. That's unacceptable. But I just want to get on here and share this with you all. As usual, always like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.